US. I'll fly there right now and I'll come and beat you up. Subscribe, okay? Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow this channel. We usually hold, we said old podcasts like this, and you all know if you always watch our videos, podcasts, this and that. So we have a lot of topics to discuss today. It's 4 p.m. GMT, I think +1. That's what we operate. This is a Nigerian man talking here, okay? Let's go! Hit the subscribe button. Okay, now we are having an interesting topic, and just deal with the issue of mental depression. That's a big issue. Okay, one person is watching right now. Make sure you like this video. Okay, so mental depression, it is an issue. It's a big problem. According to a book called The Science of Being Well by Wallace D. Waters, it says that for every disease there's a mental correspondence. To every disease there's always a mental correspondence. That's what the man said, Wallace D. Waters. So now, if depression is like a sickness, then there must be a mental correspondence, right? So that's what we want to deal with. That's what we want to talk. That's what we want to. That's the problem we want to solve. That's what we want to tackle in this for this show right now. This is the first segment where we stream live. We have two topics to discuss for the first segment. The first is depression help. Then the second is how to start business from scratch. So let's go, man. So now, Patrick, let's hear what you have to say. What do you have to say about depression? Like, what is the issue with depression? Like, it is eating almost everybody, but it is something that we can gain control of. So now, what do you have to say about it?
Okay. For me, depression is a state in which one person has this very, very pessimistic view of life. That is, the person is so negative about. Most people, when they say, okay, somebody is negative about life, they just feel like, okay, this person just wants to be negative. But depression is a state that many people fall into gradually. It's not something that people just decide. Nobody decides to be depressed. They say that people just slide into gradually. But as they're sliding gradually, all the to keep them happy, or whatever they put their hopes on, that probably will boost their morale we're living. So I think one of the main causes of depression is just things not going as planned repeatedly. Because probably if you have a plan and it does not go according to your plan the first time, you will still be alright. But if it continues to happen, it will erode all your trust and all your faith and all your hope that things will ever go well. So I think that depression is the end state of when you feel like almost everything has failed and there is no more hope for the future again.
Okay, that's a brilliant one. So you watch it right now, you understand this. So now I said when should I say failure repeats itself all the time and often, and it's not anybody's decision to be depressed. Nobody wants to be depressed. It really is sad. It's a sad thing. If you have been in that state, that feeling, you understand how bad it is. So now, Patrick, for someone to actually get out of this state, this depression, imagine you are depressed right now. Just imagine you are depressed right now. What are the tips you would use to actually come out of the depression, actually get out of that feeling, that depressed feeling?
Okay, for people that I've seen that have depression or that are experiencing depression, I think first they don't feel like doing anything. They are just down. They don't have the push to really do anything. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to try anything at all. I think the best way to beat depression is to have like a routine. The routine will help you keep up. First of all, be fit. That is, wake up in the morning, have your bath, brush your teeth, just your normal morning routine. The reason is that these things will help you overcome that first block of I don't want to do anything. If you have that steady routine, you know that as you wake up, you must have your bath, you must brush your teeth, you must do this. So in the state of depression, always strive to do all these things. Then next, I think exercising to keep your body more active. I think that is very, very important. Because if you notice, sometimes when you are feeling down, if you just exercise a bit, your heart start pumping, like you can actually feel your blood running. So I think that these ones just help to boost your system so that you don't just feel too down. Because if you don't actually do anything, you would just collapse totally. You will spend days doing absolutely nothing. So the best way to actually beat depression is that no matter how bad you feel, just try to get up and do something. Just like you are trying to start a business and there is a huge obstacle in front of you. So the best way to get that obstacle out of the way is to take the first step. So the first way to combat depression every single day is to get up from your bed, get up from your chair, just get up and just start doing something. I think activities help boost your mind, they help boost your brain. Then just have a lot of probably smaller interests that you can actually try to achieve every day. If you can have this steady tempo of trying to achieve something, trying to hit something, I think it will help boost your morale, or it will keep you steady from falling into the worst state of depression.
Okay, that's a brilliant one. It's say like activity, like get yourself occupied. If you are in that state of mental depression, get yourself occupied. Get into different things. Get into different activities. It's going to really really help. Okay, that's a brilliant one. That's something that is testable. Okay, you can just test it. So Patrick, what are some of the things you would advise people to get into to actually get out of this mental depression we're talking about?
For me, the best one of advice is for the best, apart from exercising and probably eating healthy. Because I have also noticed the trend. When most people are depressed, they tend to overeat. So that will now lead to obesity, or probably they will start to get fat. And obesity now still gives people even more depression. So probably someone's already depressed, they become obese, then they will now get even more depression because now they are so fat and they cannot cope with it. So always, when you are depressed, always try to eat healthy. Like cut out junk food from your diet or from anything. Always eat healthy. Always drink lots and lots of water, and it helps boost your body. So basically, the best thing to do in depression is just to try to keep your body healthy, because that is one very, very important factor. Then the next one is to pick activities that will keep your mind at a steady level. So activities like that will not boost your dopamine levels too high. Like probably, let's say for some people, social media boosts their dopamine level to a very, very incredible high, or probably there's one other thing that they like doing that. I'm trying to look for activity like probably reading a book, reading a good book, or probably watching a good show, or something that will not get you too overly excited. Because dopamine, if you are constantly going over that your dopamine limit of your body, at a point your body will get tired. So when in a state of depression, always try to maintain your dopamine level at stay at the close to the limit, so that you don't eventually get tired of, let's say, even these little things that made you happy before. Because if you just keep on pushing it, pushing and pushing, at the point you just become, everything will just become so tasteless. Even the things that you had interest in before, they will no longer make sense. So I think in a state of the best thing to do is just to maintain a reasonable amount of excitement, and just be consistent in with your normal routine. Just always try to overcome that first flaw. Just get up and don't even think before you get to, just get up and get to what you are doing. Also, in the state, the reason why most people go into depression is that they tend to overthink, and overthinking again does not really solve any problem. Because let's say there are things that are within your control and things that are not out of your control. So most people probably they overthink about a dream they have and they are not hitting the target, or probably they tried something and it failed, or they got rejected from something. So they just collapse into this state of overthinking the future. The thing is that they are not overthinking the past, though. They
Yeah.
are overthinking the future, that they have not lived yet, they have not seen yet. And that overthinking which always tend to aggravate your mind, which always try to bring up all the possible things that will go wrong, because that is how it's programmed. Your mind is also looking for where all the possible places where issues will come up. So when somebody begins to overthink, it begins to highlight all those particular problems that will come up, even though there's a likelihood that they will not even come up at all. So overthinking now is a very, very bad thing. So the best way to overcome overthinking in a state of depression, I think, is to have a good activity. Again, the best activities I recommend for lots of people is reading, either reading books or reading articles online. Just try to keep your brain busy so that you don't fall into that. Because if you are jobless, there's always a likelihood that your mind will drift off and then you start overthinking again. Also, another thing that I would recommend for people that are having a state of depression, I think, is meditation. So meditation is basically just trying to keep your mind focused on the present. You are just trying to keep your mind focused on what is in front of you, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future. So that meditation now will basically help to keep your mind in a very, very good state. I think it's something that I really trying, but basically it just breaks that connection. It just brings your mind back from wherever it has gone to, from the future or from the past. It just puts you back in your normal, your current state where you can actually see and feel your environment. So basically, the one thing that I think a lot of people should really be focused on if they want to get out of depression is eliminating overthinking. So overthinking now, that is the biggest problem. I think that is really the main cause of depression. Depression for me is just like a symptom. Overthinking, that is the main illness, while depression is the symptom. So if you can try to get rid of if you can try to reduce how much you overthink, I think there's a very, very high probability that you will beat depression by a huge margin. And the best way to overcome overthinking is by having your mind in the present, that is, not letting your mind drift away from the present. So meditation now is one of the best ways to try to get your mind to be present and to not overthink.
Okay, that's a brilliant. So you said meditation is the best way to actually get your mind off overthinking, because you said overthinking is the main disease, depression is the symptom. And that's really, really true and logical, because depressed people always overthink. And that issue, sometimes it is beyond their control, and you gave a solution. You said meditation can actually stop that because it puts your mind in the present. And you said that being lonely, having nothing to do, could like raise the likelihood of you being depressed. That is also one thing that you gave to us. And you also mentioned something. You said routine, that routine can help to reduce depression. And you also said that eating healthy food can also help you in terms of depression. Because when you are depressed, like you feel nothing works, so let's just eat anyhow and this and that. Then you eat food, you become obese. Then obesity comes you become depressed more. Like that does not solve the problem. Okay. It doesn't solve the problem. And you also recommended activities you could do to actually reduce the likelihood of you being depressed. We're talking about mental depression here. And Patrick, you said reading books can actually help. That is really, really fantastic. If you read books, new experiences can be created in your head. And when there are new experiences in your head, there are new combination of chemicals in your body. And when this occurs, you feel life, like you feel hopeful, you no longer feel despondent again. That's why reading books is really, really very important right now. Read books. Get yourself books, articles online, the free stuff online. Get yourself those things. Read them. It helps you. Routine helps. Like in a part of this mental depression, you are in control of the healing process. It is curable. You are in control of the healing process. That's what we're saying here. That's what Patrick is saying here. You are in control of the healing process. You gotta design a routine for yourself. Design a plan. Every morning before your foot hit the floor, what would you like to do? Like write them down and start practicing. There are a lot of morning routine practices you could watch, or videos you could watch on YouTube. Like, get those videos, put them into practice. Get your own morning routine that works for you. Don't do things because you see other people talking about it. Like, do something because it works for you. Very, very important. Do something because it works for you. There's a book that says, um the secret of the millionaire mind. It says, if the secret in this book doesn't work for you, throw it away. But if they work for you, keep doing it. Now, this is something people need to understand, which is self-control, taking control over your entire life, your whole life. So now, what would you say right now? Because depressed people, when you are in this state of mental depression, you're likely going to feel that you are not in control of your life, and you're likely to just do everything you see people mention on the internet, this and that. Like, it seems you've lost the power or the ability for you to actually choose what to believe, what not to believe, what to do, what not to do. So in this case, right now, what would you advise? What would you advise a person right now who is actually down, nothing in the head, right? Mental depression down. It can reduce brain activity if you have experienced it. That this is something that can reduce brain activity. So now, what would you advise right now, a person right now who seems like to just be moved by everything he watches right now on the internet? Like, some people, when they are facing this mental depression, all they do is just watch videos, and they're just moved by everything they see, and it leads to more depression, this and that. Like, they are off control of their lives, this and that. So what would you advise those kind of people? Should they stay off the internet? Should they stay off Facebook? Should they stay off social media? What would you advise them?
Yeah, I would not really advise somebody to just stay off the internet because, again, there are many parts of the internet. There are many online this thing, publications where you can actually find good articles, good books to read. So I don't really advise someone to just stay off the internet totally. But because, again, the internet is an external factor. So overcome depression again, you need to build up yourself to build up your mental capacity to be able to face external factors like that. So basically, what I will advise to somebody in state of depression, first of all, is to first try to clear their head. They just try to clear all a lot of things out of their head first. Just set everything aside first. Then start start thinking about the problem. When I mean thinking about the problem, I said yes, don't overthink. But when you think about the problem, can you solve it? Or is the problem within your control? If yes, write out all the possible steps that you feel might help. Because again, writing or different activities, when your brain activity is that, if doing any physical activity actually helps boost your brain activity. So writing again is an activity that can help some people during depression. So just writing things down can help boost some people's morale. So once you find out that, okay, this particular problem, I can solve it, you write out all the steps that you can take to try again. Like, I read something somewhere said, failure is not a condition. It is just simply an event. That is just one event. It's not Failure is not like a disease or an infection that hits somebody. It's just simply an event. Even though that event happens multiple times, that does not still make it like something that is part of a person or something that is attached to a person. So it could be, again, failure occurs for a lot of different reasons. But most people, when they experience the brain, just feel like, okay, all these different reasons, even though a lot of the things are mostly out of their control, just like all these different reasons are just simply happening to me, or all these things are just simply coming at me. Again, no matter how many times failure happens to you, that does not mean you are like the whole universe is against you, or that failure only knows your name. It just means that things happen to different people. That sometimes good things can happen to bad people, and bad things can happen to good people. So failure now is not an infection, it's not a disease, it's just simply an event. So if somebody can know that, first of all, they can best overcome that fear that, okay, if I try again, I will fail. Also, another way to beat depression is through hope. I think, again, let your faith or let your hope overcome your fears. I think there was one time when we talked about about fears, one episode, podcast episode where we talked about fears. Where I said, if your faith overcome your fears, then you are in the clear. But what happens in depression is that some people's fear overcome their faith, to overcome their hope. We cannot lie. As human beings, we always have fear. We are always afraid of some things, but it is our hope or our faith that it could work out that push us to do new things, to try new experience. So most people, when they fall into a state of depression, it means their fears have already overcome their hope and their faith. So in a state of depression, I think the best way to overcome is to start to build your faith, just start to build your hope, so that will single out your fears, then attack your fears from every angle possible. Like, okay, what actually caused my failure, or what actually led to this particular event? What are the different things that led to this particular event? Do they make sense? How do I actually try to solve it again? So if you have that hope that, okay, this thing could be solved, and you continue building upon that foundation, then verily, I say unto you, the person will definitely overcome depression.
Okay, that's a brilliant. So we're about to go off air right now for this first for the first segment, first topic, and we're about to go off air right now. But what he said just now really struck me, and it something I want to share from what he said. He said, you must. I have a question for you, but you said something, and you have to understand. Like the solution to this main problem is, understanding failure is just an event. Okay, failure is not a disease, this and that. Because most of the people who are depressed, facing this mental depression, are just having to them they're having repeated failure. Like there's a quote by Napoleon Hill. He said, "Opportunity often comes disguised as the form of a misfortune or temporary defeat. Every failure, every heartache carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." So that is just what it is. Failure could be an opportunity in disguise, according to Napoleon Hill. So the way to deal with this mental depression of a thing is, you gotta understand failure is just an event, a disease. It's just an event. Because the main thing that bring people into depression is probably massive failure. Like when massive failure hits them, like they're just down for this, down for this and that. Like, or they have this repeated should I say circle of failure, this and that, or disappointments. All they do is that's how they get knocked down most of the times. So understanding that failure is just an event. Like according to Napoleon Hill, opportunity often comes disguised as the form of a misfortune or temporary defeat. Every failure, every heartache carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Like say this repeatedly to yourself all the time, always repeat it all the time, and you will see progress. You see progress in your life. You will see progress in your life. And what he said was, like, get yourself engaged. Like engage, do something. If you like have a design your life, you gotta put down your design. You like have a design for your life. Have a routine. This problem, no doctor is gonna cure it for you. No matter the drugs they give to you, mental depression is a problem. It will still keep being a problem. You are the cure. You are the solution. Have a routine. Get a pen right now. Design your life. What do you really want? Write them down. Start. You gotta like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, just a step. Like start like that. Like that is the first step to get it. Then apply all the principles we have given. That's gonna really help you. Read books, learn something new. Like it's something that is going to really be helpful to you. Okay, so now Patrick, before we go over to last words you have, before we go back to the next one on how to start a successful business from scratch, we would like to have to go deep into this topic, but probably we'll put that off for another day. But for now, just understand, we will take you through the process. Okay, for now, just design your life, like get a routine, like stay uncomfortable. Understand that like being sincere to yourself sometimes can make you feel uncomfortable. It's fine. Stay uncomfortable so that you can take the next step, or how you can take the first step. Is very, very important. So now let's talk about this, Patrick. When you talk about depression, we should go into should I say exaggeration, because the brain will always over exaggerate. The reason why a person will keep being knocked down in depression is because he or she allows the brain to over exaggerate anything. The failure, the brain will make it look like it is a very big thing. that is what is likely going to happen to a person who is facing this mental depression here and there. So now, what would you advise those people? What would you advise them? Because a person who can handle failure is likely not going to be depressed. That's the simple truth. That's the simple truth. Some people will even tell you depression does not even exist. Why? Because they see it like is something like someone that can't handle himself very well that would be depressed and that. So now what would we say right now? We're talking about that type of depression, okay? There may be other types we don't know. So now over exaggeration can actually affect. So what do you have to say about the brain sometimes exaggerating and how to actually bring it down so that we can have a good life?
The best way again is to A, take your mind off of it if you know that you don't have, like, if you don't have a solution for it, or B, actually try to face it. So basically, how the brain works in when it over exaggerates is that I think the brain is using sort of experimental probability where it's measuring events from the past and then trying to use those ones to predict the future. Because even though you fail at a particular thing today, that does not mean you will fail tomorrow. But basically, what the brain is telling you is that, okay, you failed in this thing or in this area before, you failed in a completely different area before, so there's a high possibility that you could fail again. So basically, in that state of mind, what I would advise people to do is to turn it out, and then if you are going to try something new, just turn your brain out and go for it. Just don't overthink it. Just go for it. Make your plans for the particular thing and then just go for it. Don't give one single thought to your brain. Because again, our brain remembers emotions. So definitely when somebody fails, the brain remembers that failure or remembers that event because again, whether we like to admit it or not, our brain actually recalls those particular those negative emotions. So the brain is definitely going to bring them up. So if you now keep on paying attention to those things as they are brought up, you are just simply dragging yourself back or holding yourself back. Go for it. Don't even try to overthink. Okay, what? Just go for it. I think that is my principle for it.
That's a brilliant one. That's something that I do use every day, but not to prevent depression. Don't aim to prevent, don't just want to prevent depression. Like, this is something you can apply to life. Don't just aim. If you are experiencing this right now, your target should not just be to avoid it. If you're trying to avoid, that means you are afraid of it. Like, don't just try to avoid, don't just try to prevent it. Just design your life, go for it, apply all these principles. That's just what you are doing. You're not trying to prevent it, you're not trying to avoid it. So that's something that really works. That's something I do use. Like, I get my plan, I push for it. I don't think about outcomes. Okay, that's something you can actually apply to your life. And like, yes, we're calling it quits right now for the first topic. I'm going to the next right now. We'll go off air right now, but I just want to add this right now. In the quantum model of reality, it shows this. It tells us that every thought exists in the quantum world, okay, which is tiny particles vibrating in our like in the world. Like, so that's how thoughts exist, okay, for the quantum model of real quantum taking it through the quantum model of reality. We say that each thought you think have 50% likelihood, okay, each of them, whether negative or positive, 50%, 50%, 50%. For instance, something happens to you right now, like your whole range of thoughts is going to come into your head, but the problem here is we always cling to the worst possible outcome. The thought carrying the worst possible outcome, that's what we always cling to. That's what we always pay attention to. That is where we'll keep having this bizarre all the time. That's why we'll keep having this problem all the time. Why? Because we're paying attention, we always cling to the thoughts carrying the energy of the worst possible outcome. So it now looks as if negative is carrying 75%. No, it's still 50-50. But the way we're doing and behaving is like negative carries 70%. That's what you should understand now. Because many people experiencing mental depression, like in their heads, they're always clinging to the worst possible outcome all the time. Understand that it is 50%, it is optional. Understand that. Well, this has to go on with practice. You got to practice it. You got to experiment it. Make sure you tackle things in your head, your mental world. Make sure you are in control of your mental world. If you are in control of it, you are in control of your life. So this is all we have for this first topic. The next one is how to start a successful business. Let's go. Stay connected, guys. If you're still watching, let's go. We'll come back again.